Hope everyone is doing well, getting excited. Hi. Like, looking forward to next week and the week after. It was great having teachers in the building today. A lot of teachers in the building today. It was a fun day, busy day, but it was a lot of fun. And we were very eager and excited, getting classrooms together. Fun. Good to see. Good to be part of. This distance really has made the hearts grow fonder, that's for sure. Thank you. One. See what the 107, 108. We're still climbing with the participants. I'm going to give it another minute. Mrs. Deacon, are you ready?
I'm ready when you are. Are you ready for me to share your the presentation?
In a second.
Okay.
Well, yes, you could open up to the first slide. That's fine. Thank you. I just wanted to introduce the evening. I have Mrs. Deacon with me, Anna Deacon, whose name you may recall from prior webinars, virtual presentations, board meetings, etc. I have the A team with me, so I'm very excited about that. Thank you, Mrs. Deacon. Tonight I will be presenting to you some information about the upcoming transition back to hybrid, not back to hybrid, but into the hybrid model. There will be a second presentation, similar to this. That will be on Wednesday, October 7th. That will be scheduled to start at 7:30, right before our PTO meeting. That will be this month's October gathering, community gathering. Looking forward to sharing this. And at the end, what we'll do is, if there's some time, I will take some questions. I don't think I'll be able to get to all the questions in the chat, but if you have them, we'll keep them, and I will try to get something together where we can address those, if not in some type of written format shared with everyone. What we'll do is we can start off on the 7th, maybe with some of those questions. I want to say in advance that I will not be able to answer all scenario questions. There just are too many unique circumstances that would require input from my emergency team, from the safety team. So, I'm just going to put that out front. Questions about any matters related other than so what I'm calling the Keep School Open guidelines. We're going to put those off for a little while. I'll talk a little bit about where we could direct those in a minute. Mrs. Deacon? So some resources. All of what we are going to hear tonight is coming to us from the Chester County Health Department and the Haverford School District guidelines, things that if you've seen a board meeting or you've read these documents, you'll hear a lot of very similar information. Those resources have been, our team took those and basically synthesized those and put those into a document that is relevant to our school. I would encourage all families to preview those documents in advance, knowing some of the guidelines, what to look for, and some of the, some of the items that will be necessary for you, for reporting, for quarantining, for things like that. It would be helpful for you if you were familiar with some of that information. Mrs. Deacon? So 3 important things here. Safety is our priority. And this plan has been put together with that in mind. It's always the priority, whether it's COVID, whether it's any other matter. we perform all operations with that as our priority. You've heard me say a number of times this year, the urgency surrounding learning. That too is something that we are very focused on this year. And we are, again, trying to highlight that in our model, trying to make that a matter of priority and something that we are delivering with meaning from wherever we are in the setting. Then, of course, the school culture and community, they are substance. They're the things that feed us. They're the things that keep us going. They're the things that drive us. They're the push that we need to help produce some of the opportunities that we're able to do for our children, for our school community. And it's very much a cyclical thing where I think we do feed on each other very nicely that way. And thank you. So as I said, today's presentation is centered on Chestnutwold's school plan to keep us open. The idea here is we want to keep the kids in school. We are moving in a positive direction, and the guidelines and the plan that we are putting in place is designed for the best opportunity to keep us open and move into, we hope, a phase where we can get everyone back here 5 days a week and resume some sort of normalcy of school. That's the goal. And if we can keep school open, that's going to get us closer to that goal. Questions related to departments, transportation, instruction, food services, they have to be directed to those departments. I'll speak a little bit about those later. I'm happy to assist you if you want to send me an email, say, hey, Mr. D, Joel, this hasn't happened yet. Can you direct me to the person? I am very happy to help. You can shoot me an email. You could give me a call, extension 5975. Information about classroom instruction, that's coming from your child's teacher. That will also be coming from curriculum. We will talk briefly about that, but that is something that the best resource for that is going to be your classroom teacher. They're going to be able to communicate the schedule. I know some grade levels are sending those out today and tomorrow. There are slight adjustments that we need to make. The reason for those adjustments is to correlate our hybrid and our Haverford Online model. We need to synchronize those so our systems and our resources are aligned across those two models. So there will be a certain amount of tweaking to the times. Nothing major, but there will be 10 minutes here, maybe 5 minutes there, those sorts of things. Your teachers will communicate that to you today or tomorrow. Next, our agenda. Just going to go to the general announcements, which we just did. I'm going to show you some pictures of our school, what it looks like. There are some there are several presentations available on our on our school web pages. There are the virtual tours from earlier. Tomorrow, all families will be receiving from our counselors an updated tour that has lots of information about what is available when they come in next week or the week after, what the school looks like. So they have a really dressed up version of what I'm going to show you, some of these pictures, giving the children, it's designed for both, giving everyone, the audience, an opportunity to learn a little bit about what they can expect when they come into the building. We recognize that this is for Monday and next week as well, Monday and Tuesday, is going to be the first time some of our children will be stepping foot into Chestnutwold. And that could be daunting. And we want to make sure we have things in place so we can support a nice smooth transition into our school. And we've been taking great care how we're going to do that, not just with the safety from a physical standpoint, but also how we can do that in a way that helps a child transition back into our school maybe for the first time in a way that makes him or her feel comfortable, accepted, that they belong, all of those things very much in mind. We're going to go over the arrival schedule. We're going to go over the dismissal schedule, talk a little bit about the car line, drop off, pickup, what that looks like, lunchroom, what lunches look like, recess, movement breaks, transitions, and then just an overview of busing very quickly. So the first thing I want to show you is a great picture of our school that was taken right before we started. And that's a great metaphor, I think, for what we're all trying to get to. Nice, and it's so apropos, I think, seeing that rise above our school. It's a great picture, and I thank you again for sharing that with me. That's the end game to me, is once we get back to normal, that's what I expect to see sort of coming over our school. So that's sort of the end point. Okay, so I had to start us off with a smile. Here is a hallway, typical hallway. All of our hallways now have tape down the center. They are directional. You can see further down there, sort of at the midpoint of the photo, there are 2 yellow arrows. They're pointing in opposite directions. You're familiar with this scene. You've seen it in many department stores or shopping centers. We have the very same thing going on in our school. On the left there, you see the sort of the outshoot of our water fountain. The water fountains are no longer the type you press and the water spout comes out. They're for bottles of water, right? And it's filtered water. So if you would like, actually we're encouraging it, children, please bring in a water bottle that they can fill either at one of the stations that's around the school. We've had those installed in our school. Next slide, the stairwell. You can see the tape again, going up the stairwell, again directional, right side for travel, left side for opposite direction traffic. Next slide is our, let's see, this is so on each floor, this is what the outside of the restroom looks like. There are sinks, 2 sinks available. The sink on the left, I guess would be outside the ladies' room, and the sink on the right, outside of the young man's room. And those are the only 2 sinks that are going to be available. The water will be shut off in the center 3. This is done to ensure safe distance while children or anyone is washing his or her hands. So again, this is the scene that you will see, that the children will see at each of the restrooms. So for lunch, and I'll talk about lunch, schedule and those sorts of things, how we'll go about the practice. Lunch will be held in 2 different settings. One will be in the cafeteria, the other will be in the gym. The reason we're doing this is so that they're alternating lunches, and when we start in the cafeteria, then the next lunch will be in the gym. The reason we're doing that is so that we could then clean the cafeteria while it's vacant, and then that will be performed with each of the different settings. And there you see the cafeteria, thank you, Mrs. Deacon. There you see the cafeteria arranged very much the same way that the gym is arranged, safe distancing, 2 children to a table. I'll get into those details in a second. Mrs. Deacon, I think, okay. So I mentioned the video tours that are available. They should be on our website. You should see some of those. There is one coming out tomorrow. Our counselors, Miss Houston and Miss Munch, will be sending that out to our families on Friday, families and students on Friday. We'll offer a glimpse into our school setting. Okay, now I'm gonna transition out of this, and I am going to share my screen so I can show, there we go. Okay. Okay, so Mrs. Deacon, can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Unfortunately, this is blocking. I have to move these things over here. Excuse me one second. There we go. Okay, so this here is our family document. This is, this will be uploaded for sure by tomorrow. For everyone's information, the information that you received today in the emailer and earlier this week, that's the important information that we need to know for Monday. That gets us into the building, and then the transition from in the building back to you. Once the children are in the building, we've got it. We've been talking about this for a long time. So I wanted to make sure that you had the information you needed to make sure so that we could transition into and out of the building safely and efficiently. So here we see information. So that this information you already know here, 12th and 13th, that's the grades 4 and 5, cohort A on the 12th, cohort B on the 13th. General wellness and safety information, this is important. So this is going to be the beginning and end of a conversation when you call to tell me that we are experiencing symptoms with our child. The question that we're going to ask Ms. Gallagher, Ms. Pannoni, or I are going to ask you are which column, basically. The one or more of the following, that would be column A, we call it, we refer to it as. 2 or more of the following is column B. And if you report that your child is having one of those symptoms, one of those 3 here, that they will not be permitted in school. And here, same thing, 2 of these, and the child will not be permitted in school. Or if the child is experiencing these symptoms in the building, we will call you and we will send them home. There is what is being called, not we are calling, what is being referred to as the isolation room. So if a child is demonstrating symptoms of COVID, that child will be escorted and there'll be adults nearby to an isolation room where they will wait for an adult, family, emergency contact, that sort of thing, to come get them and take them home. And if they are experiencing 2 of these and from B or one from A, there will be the expectation that they'll be tested and or a 14-day quarantine, things that I know are going to elicit many more questions, but that's why we want to refer to that to the Chester County Health Department plan. Fever is considered anything above 100.4. So all of our faculty has been issued masks. They have shields if they would like to wear them. There are gloves available. There will be mask breaks through the day. Masks are expected to be worn from the time a child gets on a bus, well, probably the time when they leave the home, but certainly while they're on the bus to the time, until they are permitted to have a mask break during the school day. Mask breaks are scheduled into our day by guidelines. We are permitted to have the children without the masks for fewer than 10 minutes at a 6-foot distance. So 6 foot or more, right? And as long as we are meeting those criteria and are facing the same direction, so we can't be looking at each other without our masks fewer than 6 feet, sort of thing. As long as we are meeting those guidelines, then a mask break is appropriate. There is during recess, and as I mentioned, there are 3 of those during the day. The children will be wearing masks. That is part of the guidelines now. However, if we can meet a mask, or we can meet the criteria to facilitate a demasking or a movement break that allows a child to remove his or her mask, we will do that outside, and that's what the plan is. Excuse me. Where fewer than 10 minutes, children will be outside and they can take off their masks, get some fresh air, walk around on the grass, see some trees, see other people, that sort of thing. So that is as far as the masking is concerned there. Social distancing, 6 feet. We'll make sure that has been part of our plan. The arrows, there are dots around that you're familiar with when you go into, again, department stores, shopping centers. You see those dots, those sorts of things are through the building, helping children, just giving them visual cues for, helping us meet the guidelines, keeping school open. Hygiene or sanitizer right inside of a classroom. The idea with the sanitizer, or at least the guidelines with sanitizer and hand washing from Chester County Health Department. If hands are soiled, we have to wash hands. Recommendation, I've seen recommendations that ask people to wash hands every 30 minutes for 30 seconds. Fortunately, our classrooms have sinks in them, so there will be, again, I'll get into the recess in a bit, but in the classrooms, they'll be doing a lot of that. There are scheduled hand washing breaks. When children enter the building, they will get a squirt of hand sanitizer. I mentioned the hands are soiled, they should be washed. And by the way, if you're wearing gloves and the gloves are soiled, same thing. Right. You can throw them out, but they should be washed. We can't be cross-contaminating or risking a cross-contamination with gloves either. So as they come into the building, they'll get a squirt of hand sanitizer from an adult, and then the children will keep 6 feet of distance and head right to their classroom. If they have a sibling that they typically walk to class, that's not going to be permitted, nor will it be permitted and we usually have the older siblings get the younger siblings in the building. We're going to ask that the older sibling meet the younger sibling at the younger sibling's place of dismissal, which are different places in the building. I'll get to the schedule later. But we are asking that if there is an older sibling, please go to where your younger sibling has exited. There will be an adult waiting with that classroom's group of siblings who are waiting for their older brother or sister. And at that time, we will release the younger sibling to the older sibling, and then they could walk home. So coming into the building, that's how it will look. Coming off the bus, same thing. Children coming in, they will get a squirt of hand sanitizer. If they'd like to wash their hands, we're going to ask them to do that in their classroom, not at the sinks. We want to reduce congestion in the hallways, in the bathrooms, at the sinks, as much as possible. So with the limited number of children in each classroom, and they're all capped at 12 or 13, depending on the size of the classroom, homerooms anyway, there's going to be more space available in those areas than there will be in the sink area, in the general restroom area. So that's as far as arrival goes, and hygiene with hand washing and those sorts of things. Food service, limited menu options. You can expect an email from food services to come to you. We're hoping it gets out there tomorrow regarding what lunch, the menus will look like, how they order, and placing the order. And there are other details that need to come from food services, and that information will be coming to you tomorrow or over the weekend. There will be children who are buying lunch, and that's fine. We are prepared for that. And there will be a menu available. The choice is really going to be, do I want what's on the menu or not? The options for a juice or a chocolate milk or a variety of options, that is not available. A child will order lunch. It will come in a brown bag. The brown bag will be delivered from the cafeteria staff, our lunch monitors. They will walk them to the children who would have ordered lunch will be identified on a sheet of paper. So the lunch monitors, they know all of the kids except for the younger ones. That's going to take us a little bit of practice. But the older ones, and we'll get to know as we get to know the younger ones, the lunch monitors get to know the first graders. This will become more routine. So they will see the list of names, and I'll see that, okay, Joel ordered lunch. Let me go deposit this where he sits. Again, they'll have assigned seating in both settings of the cafeteria. So I will know where Joel sits, and I could just place his lunch at his table right where his chair is. And therefore, I don't need to walk through the cafeteria while kids are coming in and that sort of thing. Is that always going to work out that perfectly? Probably not. But that's on paper, that's what we are striving to get to. That's the idea. We have the lunchroom is, we have it fully equipped with our adult resources. There'll be plenty of people in there to help the younger children, anyone who might need some help in the cafeteria or the gym with opening containers. I forgot a fork. Well, let's go get your, actually the children are not going to be permitted to stand up, the adults will be going and getting all of their things for them. So if there is something they forgot, including, well, if it's a lunch, that's easy. We could just give them a lunch. The lunch will come with a napkin. It will come with your plastic utensils and either water or milk, but that's a detail that you should wait to hear from food services about. So if they do forget something, a napkin, a fork, a knife, or they can't open a yogurt or a fruit cup or something like that, which is how it goes. Our adults will be around. They will be available to help the students and open their, we went over this today, what that's going to look like. And you know, I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to do that. Personal belongings and laptops. So this is going to be a tricky one because we, you know, I'm sure early on it will, everyone will remember to bring their Chromebook or their tablet to school. It'll be fully charged. You know how things go. As things become more routine, you know, I don't know that that's going to be the case for everyone in the building every day. And we do understand that there are going to be some issues with the Chromebook. We're having them now. We had, you know, some glitches, technology glitches this week. And we expect those to happen while we're in session starting next week. So if a child forgets his or her Chromebook or you know, it's losing its charge, the same thing with the tablet, we have a structure in place where we're going to use our extra devices, which will be charged. We have a system where if it's in one area, you know it has been sanitized. If it's on this table, do not touch it, basically. And our tech people here in the building are going to take care of that. If you could, in addition to the water bottle, if you could just bring or send in the charger with your child, that would be really helpful. We could charge those while the kids are out to lunch or maybe recess. So that's one way we might be able to help with that. It's not the end of the world if they forget those things. So please don't feel compelled to rush to school to drop off, you know, a tablet or a Chromebook in the event that, you know, your child forgot his or her device. There's enough on your plate right now. If we could ease the burden, but I'd love to be able to do that. So early student pickup or late arrival. So if you're picking up early or students are tardy, basically the same procedures. You know, you'll have to sign them in. If you have the note written in advance, that would be helpful. You know, if it's an early dismissal, we'll call the student down. But once you arrive, you know, making sure that the child is there before you. We will not have children waiting in the office area for the adults who are coming to get them. Okay. So general arrival for students. I'm going to skip down to actually car. Here we go. Car line. This is going to be tricky. It's tricky under normal circumstances, and I'm pretty sure it's going to be equally tricky now. So we are going to designate one area where I'm going to ask for people to drop off their children so that we could preserve a safe distance coming into the building. That's going to be sort of right, if you're familiar with the back of the school, right near the kindergarten playground as it meets the school, where it meets the actual classroom, right in that area. I don't want to block the walkway, the crosswalk. There will be families and teachers who have to park in the basketball court and maybe have to, you know, come drop off something or come into the building. So we want to keep that crosswalk free. Further, I really don't want to have cars driving through there, especially fast, you know, when that might be an area where people are crossing. So please look out for that. There'll be cones out there marking where we drop off and pick up. Same thing will be for pickup that way. And I'm going to ask that we please just use that one area. If we just drop our kids off at the top and you're in the car line, I know that some of you may be, you know, I get it too, you know, getting to work and those sorts of things. That creates a real burden on the systems coming into the building. And then we're going to have long lines of children coming in. Remember, we're sanitizing each child, putting a squirt of sanitizer on every child's hand before they come in. So you're going to have kids waiting potentially, right, depending on how many of us are doing this, down the street or along the sidewalk, and we want to prevent that. We want them to be able to come in and leave, or come in, enter, or exit, and go right into their car, and everyone go on their way. It's not going to be optimal for sure, but it's going to keep us open. This way we can say if there is a case and we can show that we are following guidelines, then that reduces the likelihood of any closure or any type of quarantine, anything like that. As long as we are following the guidelines, it reduces that likelihood. So it's not whether or not we get the cases, although that will influence it for sure. A lot of it also has to do with where you're wearing masks, where you're 6 feet apart, where you're facing opposite directions. Right? That's the, or facing the same direction, excuse me. Bus arrival. So the buses will, and this is the busing, you know, I wish I could give you all who plan to take the bus more information on this. It's, you know, I can tell you the bus capacity is limited. There will be, you know, the students will have to wear masks. The driver will be wearing a mask. When they finally get to, there'll be assigned seating as well. When they get to the building, at whatever time that is, and its first week is going to be worse than the second week, is going to be worse than the third week, and they will get better as well once we get familiar with who is at what stop, and you know, we get the drivers get to know the routines a little bit better. That will be a more efficient process. As students exit, there will be an adult at the doors, at the bus doors, reminding them, okay, wait until, you know, about 6 feet, then go, wait 6 feet, and then go. And then there'll be another adult at the entrance to the school. Here is a squirtless hand sanitizer. They will go in, and that's the idea of, you know, if their hands are soiled, we want to wash them. If it's just that they haven't been washed, they're not soiled, then hand sanitizer, as far as the guidelines are written right now. So staggered arrival for walkers and car riders. This is going to be important. We you know, if you've seen school at the start of the day, you know, as much as it's a great picture, watching everyone eager to enter the building, it really is a nice scene. It's unfortunately something that we have to discourage a little bit right now for the time being, for obvious reasons. That being the case, here is the schedule that we are asking our families to follow, okay? And this was shared in today's emailer and earlier this week. So that is, that's going to help us, again, reduce the likelihood of, you know, coming in contact with other students, minimizing the opportunity for cross-contamination, et cetera, et cetera. Talked about entering school, morning meeting, that will be for every student there. Lunch, okay. So lunch, I talked a little bit about buying lunch. If you're packing lunch, you know, that will stay, just so you know, that's going to stay in the child's backpack. Child's going to bring his or her backpack into the building. All of their belongings that they take with them will go home with them. They will not be able to keep items in the desk or in the cupboard. Whatever they bring in, they will be taking home. We hope, right, that they don't lose anything, like their coats and their lunch boxes and all of those things. But barring anything gets lost, we will be expecting that item to go home. So what's going to look like is their backpack. They will place it on the back of their chair. If they have a coat, that will be placed on the back of their chair. We are not going to use the cubbies, again, to prevent the cross, you know, be safe, preventing cross-contamination. So anything they have will be stored right behind them for the class. They can use underneath their desk for books and things, but their lunches and things, I would imagine, would be safer in their backpacks. So when you're packing, just so you're aware what that looks like. So anyhow, lunch is about to happen for second grade. And Mrs. Magdy is taking her class down before she takes the class down. You know, we have a sink in the room. We could wash our hands. And then we would go to escort the children to the cafeteria. The entire second grade team will go down. There will be assigned seatings. Children, first day, will be assigned to their tables. After that, we would, of course, we'll encourage them, remind them, we'll have a seating chart. And those things are so that we could contact trace. If there's something happens, we could say, okay, Joel, got sick. Who was he seated near? We need to make sure we contact these individuals. They're in the cafeteria now. They're seated. They have either the lunch they brought from home, or the monitor or the cafeteria worker has just delivered, or the bag is already waiting for them in most cases, we hope. Now I could take off my mask as a child and I can eat. And while you are not eating, the mask does not need to be worn. At the end of, and then when you're finished eating, we're going to put back on our mask. And we are going to ask the children, and we reviewed this today, if we see that a child's finished eating, we'll ask them, okay, of course, are you finished eating? And hope we get a good conversation. And at that point, we are going to remind them, please put back on your mask until you get outside, or until you're outside with your teacher. Following lunch, or I guess at the end of the lunch period, the adults in the cafeteria or the gym will walk around with the trash can, and the students will, from their table, put it right into the trash can. In the past, our students would get up, and it was a way to have them burn off a little bit, right? Get them up and moving a little bit. Unfortunately, that's not going to be the case. Once they're in their seat, the expectation is that they're going to stay in their seat, barring, I need to use the restroom, I need to go to the nurse's office, those sorts of things, emergencies like that are going to happen. On our end, we have systems in place to make sure that the nurse's office doesn't get 25 people in it. So there will always be communication from the teacher, adult, who's sending a child to the nurse and the nurse's office. That will be very important for us to make sure that we are, again, not creating a very congested area in one part of the building. The lunch monitors will be wearing gloves, although that is not necessary, but they will be wearing gloves. Again, if they get soiled, they either need to wash their hands with soap, or they need to take off the gloves and put on new gloves. And anytime if I go from Joel to another student, I need to squirt hand sanitizer. I cannot help Joel open his yogurt and then go and open someone else's water. There needs to be a cleansing in place between those two, which is why we have many more adults than we would normally have in our cafeteria at this time. So here are the lunch times for our school. Just for your information there. After lunch. So lunch is now finished. I have put back on my mask as a child. I've now thrown out my lunch, or I deposited, right, recycled, whatever it is that is in your lunch bag. Now it is time for the teacher. My homeroom teacher is going to come collect her class, and that teacher will then walk that class out the doors. If they're in the cafeteria, they're going to go through the egress and walk along the lane and into the parking lot, so they can get some recess. Again, this would be an opportunity for them to socialize a little bit, and a little bit more than they may have been able to do in the cafeteria. If they're in the cafeteria, you're going to go out the gym. I'm sorry, if you're in the gym, you're going to go out the gym doors, and same thing. So they're right after lunch, they will go out to recess. That's a change, which is why I'm saying it like this, making it a point right now. We like doing recess before lunch, but it's going to be much more efficient for our systems, given that we have 2 sinks on a floor available for kids, to do it this way, washing hands in the classroom and then going to recess afterward. It's going to allow for more instructional time. It reduces the amount of time we lose, in the day. So playground equipment. So Playground equipment, cross-use of playground equipment is something that we cannot guarantee that it's going to be clean between classes or between grade levels. So, kindergarten is going to alternate. They have their own playground. It might be Miss Marshall's one day. It might be Miss Vergliani's another day. They're going to flip-flop. The larger playground, we cannot guarantee, but in AM, PM kindergarten, excuse me, I want to back up 1 second. AM, PM kindergarten, the equipment will be cleaned between the sessions of AM, PM, which is why we would have, both sessions, make it available for both sessions. The larger equipment, we cannot guarantee that it will be cleaned between each grade level at recess. Therefore, I'm not going to expose children to that during the day. Regrettably, that's something that we will not be able to do here at school. So that is recess, that is lunch, 2 important times of the day for our children. Isolation rooms. So if a child develops those symptoms and needs to be sent home, we have to isolate that child. Just saying that as a school principal, I've got to say, as a side note, makes me a little uncomfortable. But that's what we are calling it. The isolation room will be a place where children or faculty would have to, they would just be exited, they would exit immediately. If you get the call that you have symptoms, that your child has symptoms, excuse me, your child will be waiting in this room, and we have one right next to the nurse's office, and the other is going to be in the LGI, the old LGI, which is now a classroom. So in one of those 2 places, depending on how many children we fit in or need to sit in the room next to the nurse's office, the spillover area is going to be the LGI. So we are very sensitive about this. We understand that that could be very scary for a child. 2 symptoms from B, one is 100.4 fever, that could, I have one of my sons, he stubs his toe, he gets a fever and vomits. That's, I'm sorry for the image, but that's anything that happens, that's sort of what happens to him. He's getting sent home and he's going to think in his head that he has COVID. That is not a pleasant thought for a young child, kindergarten through 5th grade. So we do recognize that, and we understand that explaining this to a child is not, we need to be sensitive with how we deliver that message to the child. So just because they have the symptoms obviously doesn't mean, or those 2 symptoms does not mean that they're sick with COVID. I know you all know that, but it is something that we are very cognizant of when we are communicating this to the child and putting them in a room by themselves or with other children who are waiting to go home for the same reason. If your child is experiencing, ailments that are unrelated, they will wait in the nurse's office. We'll close the curtain. There are 2 beds in there, and we will have that child. That's fine. They could stay right in that room there. Again, I would encourage everyone, please, to just be familiar with the Chester County Health Department guidelines there. Transition through our halls, I mentioned that, 6 feet of space between a classroom of 12. You could do the math on how long that line is. You have 4 classrooms for each grade. So it's a good math problem for some of our older students. It's a pretty long line, and that's going to require a lot of time for transitions, which is why we're trying to minimize how much traffic is in the hallway at any one time, trying to keep as much in the classroom for the children as possible in terms of hygiene, even encouraging, students maybe demasking for a few minutes, as long as it's fewer than 10 and they're facing the same direction. Guidelines approve that. They won't be often. Most of those will be outside. Getting outside will be something that I know our teachers will be doing a lot of. And as I said, there are 3 recess breaks built into our schedule so that when we, throughout the day, children can have an opportunity to get outside and play with the children who are in their homeroom, right? They're designated to an area, and what they can't do is there won't be free play. It won't be, Mrs. McEwen's classroom with Mrs. McCusker's classroom. They will be separate. They will be in designated areas. Mrs. McEwen's classroom will stay with Mrs. McEwen's classroom, and every other homeroom would do the same. Absences. So it's got fresh schools. I would encourage you to continue using the fresh schools. If your child cannot attend school any day, if it is COVID related, you'll let Mrs. Gallagher, Mrs. Pinoni, me, you'll let one of us know, and we'll follow through with you. We'll follow through with the class. There is a generic letter that will be sent home notifying families that, hey, look, a student in said area was recently sent home for, and the specificity of it would be, they tested positive or they were sent home because of possible exposure. We're teasing that out still, but there will be information sent home to you when something happens like that and you need to know about it. We certainly are going to be doing that as a district. That'll come from the nurse's office. If you're in a classroom that has ever gotten a letter about lice, that is pretty much what you can expect, something like that. No names, it would be very discreet. Dismissal. Okay, so as would happen under any circumstance, it's imperative that your child's teacher know your child's dismissal plan. Is it a bus? Is it a car? Right now it's only 2 days a week, but is it Monday I go to aftercare and Wednesday I take the car, or Tuesday I go to this family member's house and Thursday I go to that family member's house. That information is going to be very important for our teachers to know. I ask everyone every year, please, please, please make sure that is in writing for your teacher. If there is a change in plan, please communicate with the teacher. It's very important. If we do not hear from a family and a child is waiting and is telling us that, my family said that I need to go here today or take that bus today. If we haven't heard, we are going to default back to the plan that you sent to us. So any change in plan really should be, you could call Bethany, Miss Cabello. Best people are the teacher and, well, really the teacher. But, if you need, contact me, whoever it is, just contact, Miss Cabello, the teacher, me, or counselor. Just make one of us aware that there is a change in plans. Dismissal has been staggered as well, and something I'll get to in a second here. It does begin at 3 o'clock. So what it will look like for us, let me go on here for a quick second, sorry. So dismissal schedule, and I'll walk through it this way. 11:30, we have recess out at that time. So this is going to be a little tricky, but the kindergarten teachers, we will have an adult walk students who take the bus home or to another service provider. That will be one adult will take both classrooms of bussers to the bus and escort them to the bus. The walkers will exit with their teachers, and they will use, for kindergarten, they will be coming out of the art room doors. And they'll be waiting there for your car line or for their adult who is there to pick them up walking or in the car. Okay, and again, if you are driving, please be mindful that there are children out there at recess, and just go slow through the parking lot and pick up in the one area, again, right sort of where the building comes to a corner by the kindergarten playground. There'll be cones out there, but we'll make it as easy to see as possible. So now for the end of the day. So we said that about 3 o'clock, students will start getting themselves ready. Kindergarten, will be at 3, and then you can see the staggered schedule here. Dismissal for walkers. So this is where your walker is going to exit. Earlier I mentioned if I have an older sibling who picks up my younger, child, how will we do that? In the past I said, that child would go down to the classroom, they would do that sort of thing. That can't happen now. So if I am a 5th grader and I have a younger sibling in 2nd grade, I'm going to exit the rear doors as a 5th grader at 3:20. But my 2nd grader exited at 3:10 and they're out front. So that 5th grader needs to then walk to the front, pick up his younger sibling, who will be standing with a district adult. And once they get to know the faces, the adult gets to know the faces, they will know to release the younger sibling to the older sibling. So that is how that system is going to work. We will go over these things with our students during the school day so that they know what this routine looks like. But if you have multiple children in our school, we are going, sorry about that. I don't know if you could see that or not. If you have multiple children in our school, that's something that you really ought to preview with your children in advance of them coming on Monday. Again, we will go over this with our children, but it's, the more that they know, the older ones know, the easier our job is going to be. Car line, so in a classroom, you're going to have walkers, you're going to have car line, and you're going to have bussers. The walkers will be escorted. One adult will take them. As I mentioned, they'll be exiting that door. The car line, here's the car line schedule where they will dismiss. Art room for grades 1 and 2. The rear doors for grades 3, 4, and 5. Remember, these are at times, so these are not just going to be a mad rush for 1st and 2nd grade to exit the art room at one time. Right? 1st grade is going out after 2nd grade as far as time goes, and then you can see the schedule for 3rd, 4th, and 5th. So that would be the car line. We will have an adult waiting outside with the children for grade 3, for all of the students, for the car line as well, and then they will get familiar with the routine of who's coming to pick them up, and then we could help them, escort them right to their car. And then the last group are the bussers. The teachers are going to wait in the classrooms with the bussers. And what will happen is I will get on the announcement as a bus comes into the school. We just simply don't know the schedule yet to start this, almost to start the school year, but to start the hybrid model, I don't know what to anticipate as far as the arrival of our buses. So to start this process, what we're going to do is keep our children in their classrooms with the teacher. And then as a bus comes, we will make an announcement. Bus 22 is here. Please escort students on bus 22 out to the Belmont exit. And teachers will take their buses. We'll have one teacher will take the bus 22, and we'll have a schedule where the teachers will escort their students outside to the buses. This schedule for the bus, look, as we get more familiar with this, and as we become more efficient with the processes that we're talking about here that are involved with this, I would imagine we're going to adjust the schedule. The dismissal schedule may adjust, the arrival schedule may adjust. Certainly the bus schedule, as they get onto the routine and become more familiar with their routes, who is and who is not coming. That information, I will update all of this and communicate that with you, of course, when we make changes. But I want to keep it close to the vest to start, just because of all of the uncertainty, trying to control the things that I know that I can control. Rather than just leaving it up to hopes and prayers that this shows up on time or that happens. So, been doing this a long time. Things that typically happen, like buses, arriving at 4 o'clock on a regular school day last year, So that's under normal circumstances. So I want to make sure that our children are in the best care if they have to stay here the longest, and that's why it's with their teacher and not with a different adult in the building. So I would expect these to change as we get more familiar and the systems around us grow more efficient with their routines. Visitors. So visitors, we cannot have in-person visits at this time, and that will be suspended for the time being. But we are open to virtual visits. You hopefully read that in my emailer. If you have an idea that you would like to are in the classroom reading a book, a guest reader, a birthday celebration, something you wanted to share a workshop with the classroom, please, we would love to have it in our classrooms right now. Anything to bring a good learning experience, an exciting learning experience to the lives of our kids would be very helpful. Experts in the field are very helpful, for our children to see, to learn from, to hear from. Those lived experiences are very good learning experiences for young children. They can be very impressionable. So that's it. I'm going to stop sharing my screen. I'm going to take a look here at the chat, see what we got. Okay. Let's see. New Jersey has allowed children to not attend school physically with a live stream class in Zoom. Well, it is an option. That would be the Haverford Online option. That is not an option for the hybrid model. The Haverford Online would satisfy that requirement, although it's not a live session. We are not doing in the off day where we're doing the cohorts Monday, Wednesday. If I'm in a cohort Monday, Wednesday, Tuesday, my instruction is asynchronous. So it's sort of a splitting the whistle on your question, but there is that option there. Cleared. Well, okay, great question. So will the classroom be immediate? Oh gosh, all right, hold on. Will the classroom be immediately cleared and cleaned if someone leaves with those symptoms? It depends on the guidelines. Were we following guidelines? Were they 6 feet apart? And then I have to consult with my safety team, which includes the 2 nurses, the central office, and we would get advisement from them. I imagine there will be a certain amount of cleaning that does happen. What does that look like? That's going to be a case-by-case scenario based on answers to some of those questions as far as were we following the guidelines. Are teachers able to help kindergartners? Yes. For our kindergartners, man, I'll tell you what, it's going to be tough. It's heartbreaking to think and read all of these things. I do know that, and our teachers are regretful, really, about having just the thought of not being able to do some of the things they normally do in their classroom. There's no, I don't think there's shame in saying it. It's regretful, but as long as they, again, if you're not wearing a mask, you could do it for fewer than 10 minutes as long as you don't get within, you have to keep 6 feet of distance as per the guidelines. So if a child's having trouble with the mask, there are gloves available. Our teachers have gloves. They have not just masks, but they have shields. So that will prevent, the opportunity for those sorts of things. So yes, we will help. We will help. Having a fever. Let me see. I have my. That's group B. So fever is in group B according to the Chester County Health Department. This is what and I get questions. This is where I go. Student chronic cough. Right. Okay. So this is a great question. No, if it's a chronic cough, if it is something that has been diagnosed and there's medical evidence of this, diagnosis of some sort perhaps, then no, absolutely not. Terry would know, Ms. Gallagher, our nurse, would know, Ms. Canoni would know, and we would allow for that. There are considerations for those sorts of things, for allergies. I mentioned my son, things like that. So no, it won't be. And if they do get sent home, it won't be. Well, it should not be, as long as they're not meeting these other criteria, and it's all been, cataloged someplace in advance. Then it should not be an extended stay. But I say that with the caveat that it depends on the case. Document conflicts with documents of the day. 320, today says 310. Yes, I sure will. Thank you for that. So 3 dismissal. Thank you. The danger of having too many documents and trying to update them all. PM kindergarten begins at 12:50. They should be in the building. 12:50 is fine. The art room doors. There are kindergarten numbers are small enough where they can, they'll be able to wait outside, and the teacher will be able to escort them in. So we'll start letting children in at about 12:45. But the kindergarten, I would wait to hear from Miss Merschel or from Miss Mergliani with the exact time. Thanks, Miss. Well, I don't know about amazing, but I'm kindergarten will be attending 8:45 to 11:25. Well, it's 11:30 is the dismissal time, and 12:50 to there's a lot in here that's going to create some conflicts like this. This is one of those things where I hope we can, work our way out of and get to greater equity between especially those two groups, because the disparity that you're referring to here with the kindergarten, the difference in time between the AM and the PM, 2:40 versus 2:20 minutes, in 2 hours and 40 minutes versus 2 hours and 20 minutes in the classroom. That's something that has been pointed out, and I have to stagger the times, and I've got to do things in the middle there where we can't bring them in earlier to compensate for some of the lost minutes. So that's something that we are looking at and hoping we could sort of unravel as we get closer. Maybe we can push it back. I mentioned I want to keep it close to the vest, and safety has to be first. So regrettably, I want to err on that side right now, and then as we see where we can space this out a little bit more, we'll be able to do that. So I would expect this to look very different in 3 weeks than it does next week. With a hybrid model, home. Yes, all home for the off day, for the A cohort on a Tuesday, Thursday, when I'm home. I will be asynchronous, yes. And Fridays will be synchronous. Fridays will be synchronous except for specials. Specials, humanities, will be asynchronous. Asynchronous days. There will be videos of instruction, Zerm, those sorts of things. Teachers will communicate with the students earlier in the week, preparing them for Fridays, so that when the Friday comes, they at least know, they have a heads up on where to go and what to address as far as the work goes. But there will be videos guiding them as well. Eventually, we are going to get to a point where there will be some live check-ins, and I don't want to get in front of myself here, but we're looking ahead with the hope that Friday will become, or not, yes, it will become synchronous for everyone, but we have to get there first. Actually, wait a second, hold on just 1 minute. I think I misspoke. I want to make sure that I said a Friday is synchronous, live, and that the humanities are the only classes that are not synchronous, that are not live on Fridays. If I did not say that before, that is what I meant to say. But I think that is what I said. So Fridays are live instruction. So yes, children will be guided through. It'll look like it does right now, basically. Is there still a chance to? Well, it depends on what grade you are. It depends on what the classroom cohort is. There are a lot of variables in that. I would suggest you send me an email to that one. Okay, just a few more I'll take. The other day, cohorts in school, do kids at home have homework to do? They will be working on things, yes. They will be classwork or homework. I'm not sure if we're getting that refined with the words, but homework is something to me you do like at night after the practice. Classwork is something that you're doing to more or less build on the learning that you did prior. So the day that you're home during the day, during instruction, you're watching a video, you're going to the next lesson in if it's math and Zern, maybe you're reading the next few pages in a book, answering some questions, using one of the different sites that are being used in the LA County, etc. Will I encourage have I heard from Pixel Lab? No. This is that's going to come from the as far as encouraging people to take COVID tests. That's going to come from the district. As long as we are all looking for the same symptoms. So that is, to my awareness, that is not something that is being expected. So I hope I answered your question, Ms. Reed, about the kindergarten day, and hopefully we'll be able to get up to those minutes. But to start the year, we want to make sure that we are, again, keeping everyone safe, and we are reducing the likelihood that we have to shut this down. But we could take a look at that. Child has to quarantine for 2 weeks. Yes, it will be asynchronous for that child for the 2 weeks. Yes. No, asynchronous, no. I guess it depends. Yes, no, actually, I'm sorry, because they will be doing the work that they would be doing in an off day, right? So until a time when, if we are doing live instruction for all, it would be asynchronous if the child was under quarantine for 2 weeks. And they're all 2 weeks. The quarantine is required 14 days. Guidance of which items from the school supply list that kids should bring with them. That'll come from the teachers. They'll do that. PM. Well, we're going to look at the PM kindergarten. Spots available for virtual students that may want hybrid. I do not know if there are spots in the hybrid for a person who wants to move from HOL to the hybrid. That depends on the class. Classes are capped at 12, some places 13. If it's a classroom where we have space, if it's a grade level where we have space, that's possible. Most of the classrooms in our school are at 12 and 13. So if that's something you're considering, I would send me that email today. Yes, they get dropped off in one spot, and they have to enter through, well, they'll come in through the, I guess if they're entering through, they'll come in through the rear doors. Car lines will come in through the rear doors. So I'll make that clear too. That's a good point. Thank you. Okay, good question. So for para support on asynchronous days, and if I did not mention this earlier, forgive me. There will be information coming from about special ed coming from Pupil Services. Mrs. Adalisi will be sending an email to everyone tomorrow regarding some of the information, some of what it's going to look like. It will look very similar to what it looks like now. Okay, where there might be some help in certain areas, that support would be provided. So yes, it would look similar to what it does right now with that person. Are students being graded, assessed on what they're doing virtually? Yes, they are. What does that look like? Your classroom teacher is going to be the best person to answer that. The assessments are adjusted. Right now we're looking for measures of learning. This isn't about what grade a child is getting. It's about what the learning looks like. That's our focus right now. So, you know, as far as the assessments go and grades go, you know, that is going to be information that your teacher is going to best answer. Can you move from hybrid to online? That depends on your grade level. I think second grade's closed. I don't know that there are more spaces in Haverford Online second grade. Does that mean you can't do it? I don't know. You could shoot me an email and I could forward it to the appropriate administrators, and they can go from there. I'm going to take two more questions. These are the last two. Sure. Full-time, Chestnutwold students. That depends. You know, the grade level, we have children who, we know we're going to have children who are reticent to enter the building and go to their classroom. There will be multiple adults at every door. Should a child show signs that he or she is unwilling or as I said, reticent to come in and walk to his or her classroom, it's what we do. And we are absolutely going to be there to help as much as we can. We are going to ask the older sibling, though, to you know, maybe stand outside with us to help us get some encouragement until there's a comfort level where the younger sibling can go with the adult. So yes, we're expecting that, and we have some plans. I think this are the last two. Set number of positive cases to school. So that's a good question. This is you know, it was 2, but it's based on a number of factors that change with the Chester County Health Department guidelines. It's a percent. It's the R factor, right? That's one measure. Then it's the number of cases in the county. I've heard absolute numbers and I've heard percentages when it comes to that question for, you know, as far as shutting down, what the number of cases looks like. So that's you know, the answer is going to be the answer is, what does the Chester County Health Department recommend? And that's the short of it. All right, last one. Are you saying if someone gets COVID only it depends. You know, I had over the summer, I have twins at home. One of the twins was around someone who had tested positive. They were outside. It was a short meeting. They were together for 15 minutes. That person had to quarantine, but no one else in the house had to quarantine. So these are questions that they're not linear answers to those types of questions. It depends on, were they wearing masks? Were they 6 feet apart? Were they facing the same direction? Was it fewer than 10 minutes? Those are the questions. If the answer to those questions is yes, they, you know, we were meeting the guidelines, then the chances are probably not. The entire class probably will not need to be quarantined. Okay, so there's only one more question. Let me get to it. Sorry. Updated as we approach the limit to prepare for students to be, oh my gosh, I hope so. Well, yes. I don't know what that's going to look like, but it couldn't happen fast enough as far as I'm concerned. You know, safely, of course, because this has to be about safety, but you know, we miss our kids, and you know, I'm looking forward to that, and it will be an exciting email that you read from me with a good rainbow above our school. That picture will be plastered on the cover of that email for sure. There will be crossing guards. Yes. All right. Thank you for that. Doing all right. We're hanging in there. Thank you. All right. So I want to thank everyone for your time tonight. I'll be here doing a similar thing on Wednesday, the 7th, from 7:30 to 8. Mrs. Deacon, I want to thank you again for everything you've done. Appreciate you keeping me on track here. And families, you know, we miss you all very much. We really do. And I am excited, and everyone is excited for Monday. It was a very exciting day today, and being in the building. There's a good buzz in the building today, and it was very exciting to be part of. So we're getting there. It's an encouraging sign. So I want to thank everyone again. Have a great evening. I'll see you on Monday, I hope. But it's a Monday or Tuesday, or maybe next Monday or Tuesday. All right. Bye, everyone. Thank you.